touchdown, Alabama, let's get it.
The process, no one can stop this. Hottest show in the streets, I bet you can't top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
The process.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back into The Process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I'm your host, Justin Smith, the Director of Recruiting for Touchdown, Alabama. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. First thing you need to do is hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Subscribers, hit that notification bell, be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. I'm here each week to break down the latest in Crimson Tide football recruiting news. And on this episode, we have a lot to get to because I think the Crimson Tide are heading into a surge in their recruiting efforts in the 2024 recruiting class. I know things were a bit slow during the month of June, but I think things are going to pick up for the Tide to close out June possibly and throughout July. We'll talk about some of the guys who are set to announce a commitment decision in July. I'll also talk about some guys to watch out for, some top flip targets for the Crimson Tide, recap some official visits, and give some updates about some top Alabama targets in the 2024 recruiting class. We're going to start today's show off by talking about KJ Boldin, the 5-star athlete out of Bruford High School in Bruford, Georgia, a guy who's considered to be one of the top safety prospects in the country, a guy with some speed, athleticism, and like a lot of guys who have come from Bruford in recent years, he's a guy who could easily be projected to be a receiver at the next level, and it just speaks to his athleticism, great ball skills shown on both sides of the football for the Bruford Wolves. But he did take an official visit to the University of Alabama over the weekend. I had an opportunity to catch up with him after that official visit, and this is what he had to say. Alabama is definitely one of my top schools. I relish an opportunity to play at a great program with arguably the greatest coach ever. Their message was, we want and need you to be a part of something great for the next 3 to 4 years. Like I said, Boldin, 6'1", 180-pound 2024 athlete, has made explosive plays as a wide receiver and as a safety throughout his high school career. Like I said, he displays ability to be an explosive wide receiver or defensive back at the next level. But the Crimson Tide like him at defensive back. Have been recruiting him for quite some time now. His relationship with the Crimson Tide goes back to the time when Charles Kelly was on our coaching staff, which he just left to be the defensive coordinator for Colorado and Coach Prime. Alabama is heavily in the mix of Boldin, along with programs like Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, and Auburn. He's still going to consider these schools. It's not crazy to think he could announce a commitment decision during the month of July. His mother actually tweeted asking where is home for KJ Boldin and saying to stay tuned. So it's not crazy to think he could be closing in on a decision pretty soon. I feel the Tide has done a great job showing Boldin that he's wanted and needed in Tuscaloosa, and he feels that way. And the Crimson Tide have had a lot of success at Bruford in recent years, looking at Justice Haynes, Jake Pope, and Isaiah Bunn. Bunn is a guy who's similar to Boldin in a lot of ways in terms of how fast they are, how athletic they are. Of course, Boldin could have been a defensive back for the Crimson Tide, but he wanted to play wide receiver in the Crimson Tide. Eventually put him there, and he had a pretty nice freshman season. I think Boldin is going to project to be on the defensive side of the football, and he shines there as well. So I think the Tide are definitely in the mix. Wouldn't surprise me if this is another Alabama-Georgia recruiting battle for a Georgia prospect, specifically at Bruford High School. Another 5-star defensive back who was on the campus of the University of Alabama over the weekend was Ellis Robinson, who's verbally committed to the Georgia Bulldogs, a New Haven, Connecticut product who actually plays for IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. Has a lot of connections to the Alabama football program, including former teammates like Desmond Ricks, and also has a relationship with the Crimson Tide sophomore offensive lineman Tyler Booker, who is originally from New Haven, Connecticut as well. Their relationship goes back to then, but they also both have played at IMG Academy, so they have a pretty strong connection. He looks at Tyler Booker as an older brother, so like I said, he has a couple of different connections to the Alabama program. But he officially visited Alabama over the weekend. I caught up with him as well just to get his thoughts about the Alabama football program and some of the things that he took away from his official visit with the University of Alabama. First thing he talked about was Alabama Medical in their strength conditioning program, saying, I love the way that they take care of their players physically, both in the training room and the weight room. He said he feels Coach Saban and Travaris Robinson, Alabama's cornerbacks coach, would love for him to be at Alabama. They feel that they can develop him the best for the next level. He feels the track record of first-round defensive backs from Alabama is impressive. So the Crimson Tide have shown, similar to Boldin, have shown Robinson that they want him and they want and need him to show him that they want and need him in Tuscaloosa. And they feel they can develop him the best. Although he's verbally committed to the Georgia Bulldogs, they feel that they can set him on a track to be not only successful at the collegiate level, but be successful in the NFL in the future. Like I said, verbally committed to the Bulldogs. Will remain a top flip target for the Crimson Tide. Alabama is a favorite in my mind if he decided to come off that, players to the Bulldogs, but it's just something to pay close attention to over the next couple of months, because Crimson Tide have shown him that they are not going to stop recruiting him, along with so many other flip targets that Alabama have, who we are going to talk about a little bit later on today's show. Another guy I want to talk about today is on the defensive side of football. He is a defensive back, and he's Jacob Gould, a 4-star defensive back who will line up for Langston Hughes High School in Georgia on this upcoming season. When you look at Gould's film, I think he has some of the most impressive film when it comes to being a defensive back in this 2024 class. Fast, physical, athletic, a guy who just plays fast and physical all the time, always looking to make a hit, always looking to make a play, looks comfortable, looks fluid in the hips. I like his game so much. But he was on the campus of the University of Alabama over the weekend, not on an official visit, but he unofficially visited the Crimson Tide, an opportunity to get there Friday, spend some time around Alabama's cornerbacks coach Travaris Robinson, go on a scavenger hunt, get a feel for campus. He said he feels that Alabama showed him a lot of love and a lot of heavy interest. Got an opportunity to spend some time with other Alabama commits like Jalen Mbakwe, who he participated in the scavenger hunt with. Gould is set to announce a commitment on July 6th. He's considering Alabama, Florida, Ohio State, UCF, among other programs in his final school list. But like I said, I'm a big fan of Gould. We'll see what happens next month in terms of the Crimson Tide possibly landing him. Like I said, I think July will determine a lot about Alabama's 2024 recruiting class, in my opinion. They have a solid base. Like I always say, they have guys like Jalen Mbakwe, Perry Thompson, Julian Sand, Sterling Dixon, Caden Jones. That is a nice base. Rico Scott, that's a nice base for Alabama. So this class has a nice, solid, firm base to start off with. It all depends on what happens in the middle and what will be at that gets the back end of this class, and will they get other guys to come in that's going to fit along the top guys in this class with Julian Sand, Jalen Mbakwe. I think they were going to get some of those guys as well. But like I said, I feel like July will determine a lot about the Crimson Tide's 2024 recruiting class. But Alabama is trending at the right time, in my opinion, for some commits over the next couple of weeks. One of those guys is Will Sanders, a 2024 offensive lineman out of Brookwood High School in Brookwood, Alabama. A guy who's underrated in a lot of ways, man. Just watch his film. Look how he moves. Look how he just destroys guys when he's pulling and blocking in the open space. He's coming like he is the defender making a hit on a running back. He's just destroying defenders, and he's a physical blocker. I've had an opportunity to see him live in person working out, and it's the first thing that really stands out is when you look at this guy's frame, it's very little body fat. You're like, this kid doesn't have like fat. Like it's like he just has a nice frame, solid frame. He's not gonna be one of those guys that has to go through this like weight transformation when he gets to the next level, has to drop some weight and transform his body. No, it's going to be about him building on muscle, packing on more weight in terms of muscle weight. And I think that's going to be good for him to possibly get on the field early in his college football career. So I like William Sanders a lot in a lot of different ways. Reminds me of a guy like Seth McLaughlin in high school, who's like rated as a 3-star. When you watch his film, dang, this guy goes to work in the trenches. I like him a lot. I had an opportunity to catch up with him after he took an unofficial visit to Alabama on Friday for one of the Crimson Tide Champions cookout this summer, and he told me that he felt really good about Alabama. He said he feels great about his relationship with the Crimson Tide, feels good about the time that he has spent with their offensive line coach Eric Wolford. Picked up an offer from the Crimson Tide earlier this month after camping in Tuscaloosa, so feels real good about Alabama. Considering Alabama, Mississippi State, and LSU, I think the Crimson Tide are the favorites to land William Sanders. One of the reasons why I said I feel the month of July will be huge for the Crimson Tide. Sanders does not have a commitment date set, but he is heavily leaning towards announcing a commitment to his decision in mid to late July. So Sanders is a name to watch out for along the offensive line, along with Michael Yuwini, a 4-star offensive offensive lineman who's considering Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan. He's set to announce his commitment decision actually this Friday on June 30th. So the Crimson Tide hosted him for an official visit actually last week. So that official visit is fresh on his mind. Like I said, it will choose between Georgia. We all know what Georgia has done over the last couple of seasons. Michigan has been pretty solid as well. We can take a look at the success that they have had, not only on the recruiting trail, but also on the football field, reaching the college football playoff and everything. But Yuwini, 6'7", projected to be an offensive tackle at the next level. Great mobility, nice footwork. I think he's a guy with a great upside in terms of how big he is, the size, the length that he possesses as an offensive tackle, the mobility that he shows. Aggressive, can be aggressive at times, can be nasty at times, can work to get to the second level. So Yuwini is a guy to watch closely on Friday when he announces his decision, like I said, down to Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan. Another guy in July to pay attention to, Casey Poe, a four-star offensive lineman out of Texas, set to announce his commitment decision on July 12th. He will choose between some great programs, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, among some others. But when you take a look at Casey Poe, he's in versatile offensive lineman, projected to be an interior offensive lineman at the next level. The moment the Crimson Tide offered him, Alabama's offensive line coach Eric Wolford said, "We feel you are one of the best offensive linemen in the country, and we're going to prioritize you in our 2024 recruiting class." And they told him that, stayed in constant contact with them, got him on campus for the official visit over the weekend. I think the Tide are in the driver's seat for Poe, and I think he's one of the reasons why it points towards being a huge July for Alabama, along with other guys set to announce a commitment decision who have already locked in dates, like Arian Hampton, a four-star athlete wide receiver out of Texas, set to choose between Texas and Alabama. As I said at the top of the show, the Crimson Tide has several flip targets on their mind at the moment. We're going to talk about some of those guys on this episode of The Process. We talked about one earlier in Ellis Robinson, the five-star defensive back. Many consider him to be the #1 cornerback in the nation for the 2024 recruiting class, and he's verbally committed to Georgia, but Alabama, I feel, is the favorite to flip him if he was to come off that verbal commitment to the Bulldogs. Peyton Woodyard is another Bulldog commit who the Crimson Tide really want, has some ties to Alabama, officially visited the Crimson Tide over the weekend. We should have updates on Woodyard on Touchdown Alabama pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. But I know Alabama, going back to their last visits with Woodyard when he got back to Tuscaloosa, they laid out a plan for him, say, they put on a game film and said, this is how we're going to use you in our defense. We got a plan for you here at Alabama. They said that last time he got back to Tuscaloosa, and I'm pretty sure that they said that same thing, said some of the same things during this official visit over the weekend, along with another Georgia commit the Crimson Tide are going after is DeMarcus Riddick, right in Alabama's backyard at Chilton County High School. The Tide have laid out the red carpet for Riddick since offering him. He was verbally committed to Alabama, verbally committed to Georgia before he got that offer from the Crimson Tide. So Georgia has been involved in this recruitment for a long time. I think there's one of the things that he's probably struggling with at the moment is that Georgia has shown him a lot of love. Of course, they are the two-time defending national champions. Kirby Smart is has a great program there, and I feel like they're still in the building stages. Although they have had a lot of success, they are on their own pace to have a great future in Athens, and I'm pretty sure that is something that Riddick cherishes. I'm pretty sure that is one of the main reasons why he verbally committed to the Bulldogs. But the Crimson Tide, of course, the Alabama offer means something. Like I said, it is his home state school. They came along, so he has to give them that shot. He has to get an opportunity to hear what they have to say. So Riddick is a guy who I always say I don't envy his situation because it has to be tough for him. An in-state kid, like I said, we know what Georgia is right now. We know what Alabama is right now. We'll see how that plays out. He's just a name to just keep at the front of your mind and just keep thinking about in terms of Alabama's 2024 recruiting class, in terms of their flip targets. Another guy to pay close attention to is Isaiah Faga out of Central Phoenix City High School in Phoenix City, Alabama. 6'2", 275, 280 pound defensive lineman who's fast, physical, athletic. When you watch his film, the thing that really stands out to me is his lateral movement, the way that he plays in space. The Crimson Tide really seemed to like him ever since they offered him a couple of months ago. Got him on campus for an official visit earlier this month, and one of the things he said about the Crimson Tide was basically they showed him and his family some great hospitality. He said he feels Alabama's up there in his recruitment, but he's still taking things really slowly, verbally committed to Utah at the moment. The last flip target I want to talk about is Jay Lindsey. Watch his film. I didn't put his film on today's show, but go look at this guy's film. It's great. It's the type of film that you think Nick Saban just loves. When you look at a tight end, a guy who can put his hand in the ground, not afraid to block, physical blocker. And I think that goes over to the defensive side of football because he plays defensive end some at his current high school. He's a guy who doesn't run routes really well, but you could tell that he has a potential to be molded into a decent route runner. I really like what Lindsey brings to the table. Watch his film when you get an opportunity, and you're going to be really impressed. So we'll see what happens next month. I think things are going to get pretty interesting when it comes to Crimson Tide's 2024 recruiting class. Stay updated with touchdownalabama.com. Of course, a lot has happened over the last couple of weeks, so be sure to just go over to touchdownalabama.com. You'll see a lot of different updates from guys in 2024, 2025, even 2026 recruiting class, 2027 recruiting class as well, guys. So I didn't have an opportunity to talk about on today's show. A lot of updates on those guys are over at touchdownalabama.com. But as always, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell before you leave so you can be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. Head over to the Google Play Store if you have an Android device to download the Touchdown Alabama app. If you have an Apple device, go to the Apple App Store. Also pick up your subscription at touchdownalabama.com as well. As always, I am Justin Smith, the Director of Recruiting for Touchdown Alabama.
Process.